Be sharing with you in this video how to set your soul free and regain your consciousness. Now, this might sound like an airy-fairy concept that's really out there and it's like a little outlandish, but the truth is that I'm going to make this video as grounded and as practical as it can possibly be, because the truth is that, if you don't really understand what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, I'm sorry to say that it's going to be tough to really live an authentic life where you really feel like you're making the conscious choices in your life that you want to be making in your life. See, because what happens is that when we walk through life, I really believe that we can walk through life and we can give away our power, which is in of itself a choice. Like, I just want to make that really clear before I move forward in this video. Like, to give away your power is in fact a choice. Now, once you've given away your power, it might not seem like a choice anymore, right? It might seem like something's manipulating you, something's controlling you, right? There's a lot of blame in that area. You're blaming the outside world, you're attacking other people. And see, in this space, you've given away all your power. Now, I just want to remind you, hey, just a quick friendly reminder, that is a choice to do so. It's a choice to blame people. It's a choice to, ridicule and to attach. We don't really need to be falling into this energy of giving away our power. And if we do, we can take the responsibility back and just simply remember that, wait a second, hold up a second here. It is a choice for me to give away my consciousness and my power to an idea or a thought or participate in an activity or to be with somebody or whatever. That's going to lower your state. All of it is a choice. Take all the responsibility, take all that power back, and just remember that you can be whatever it is that you want to be. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to actually do this is just to remember that you only have to do things that bring you peace. Okay, so like, if it doesn't bring you peace, if it doesn't make you feel calm and happy and peaceful, and or like you're aligned with your purpose, you don't have to do it. Now, I'm not saying that there's not going to be times and places to sweat and to work a little bit harder and to put in more effort. Like, I'm not saying that's life is not going to bring these things to you or that you're not going to have to do that sometimes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that life can just always be bunnies and roses and you can sing kumbaya and go around the campfire, and it's like, that's not always like life. Sometimes is going to bring intense suffering, intense pain and misery and problems and challenges that are very uncomfortable and very difficult. So with that being understood, though, just remember that as a general principle, not an end-all be-all, because yes, it's a general statement. As a general principle, you only have to do things that bring you peace. So remember, yeah, it's general, but just remember, like, if it's not helping you to improve, if it's not leveling you up in your life, if it's not genuinely in the short term, and of course, long term and short term, you've got to balance these things, but if in the bigger picture, in the short and in the long term, it's not helping you to feel peaceful, to feel better, you should let it go, because it's just not serving you. Now, again, sometimes maybe something doesn't feel good in the short term, and it's better for you to focus on it anyway, because in the long term, you know that it's going to bring you some peace. That's okay. That might be an exception, right? Sometimes you might have to work a little bit, but you know that it's going to bring you peace. What I'm saying is that, excuse me, in the bigger picture, you don't have to do anything that's not making you feel like a more integrated, more powerful, and more connected human being. Like, none of it is really necessary. As you go through your life, just start to notice, like, where are you doing stuff that's not making you feel peaceful? Like, where are you walking through your life and you're just not really doing it for yourself? Like, you're just kind of people pleasing. Like, you're just kind of doing it because you think you have to, and it's like, that maybe you kind of want to do, but it's like, you're really, like, if you're honest with yourself, like, I want you to look back at these experiences where you're just doing it completely for other people and not for yourself at all. Just notice that. Notice that, you're not doing it for yourself, and that you're just giving away all your peace, all your power, and all your choice, all your consciousness, you're giving it all away. And I want you to notice this, and I want you to start to ask yourself, like, is that really what you want? Is that really the way that you want to show up for yourself in that moment? And of course, the answer is going to be no. And I want you to really sit with this and to look at that a little bit deeper, because the truth, I believe, is that if we're not afraid to look at that, that's going to be the spark that we need to then realize that, wait a second, this pain is not something that I want in my life, and I'm participating in it, excuse me. So from that point, you can realize that there's a conscious choice that you can make, which is to only make choices that are going to bring you peace, in the bigger picture, of course. Now in the short term, you can think about it as well, but just think about it in general terms. How can you be focused on getting more actions in your life that are going to bring you peace, that are going to bring you more joy, and to feel connected to who you actually want to be in your life, who you actually want to step into, who you actually want to act into and be in your life. So the second thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that ultimately, this might sound like a very interesting concept. I don't know if you've ever heard it in this way, but I really believe that consciousness and choice are almost synonymous terms. Like, to be honest, they're almost like one and the same. Now, not necessarily, of course, they're separate things, but they're intertwined in the sense that the more consciousness that you have, the more choice that you're going to have in the matter. Because think about it like this, if you want to move through life with the most choice possible, to have the most free will, you would have to be consciously guiding your attention where you want it to go. And that's the problem in most people's life, is that they cannot get a hold of their attention. Their attention always has something, gripping their attention, always something holding their attention. It's like something is holding your attention. You can't even hold your own attention. You can't even hold your own attention to place your attention where you want it to go. If you can't even control your attention to make it go where you want to go, are you really a free will human being? Because now you're walking through life and other things are pulling your attention. Whether it's a video on YouTube or an ad or something or this or like whatever, just like you're following your emotions and thoughts and they're pulling you, and it's like, where's the free will in that? But if you can take control of your attention, if you can take control of your thinking, now what's happening is that from that space, you really actually can make conscious choices in your life. You can really be the person that you actually want to be. It's about letting go of this need to control your thoughts, but control your attention. Because remember, attention ultimately is the highest currency that there is. People want to make more money, and that's fine. And I invite and encourage you to go make more money. Go do whatever you want to do that most excites you to get your financial security figured out. I highly encourage you to make sure that your financial security is completely figured out. But just remember that ultimately speaking, the highest form of currency that's going to help you to generate more money, if you want that, if you need it, whatever amount of money you need to be where you truly want to go, will come to you if you understand that the highest currency really is attention. Because remember, you might have lots of money in your bank account, and that's great. But if you can't even control your attention, what wealth do you really have? Are you really a wealthy person if you have money in your bank account, but you can't even, your attention is always has something gripping it, you can't even control it, it's always pulling you where it wants to go. That's not a free will choice to be the person that you want to be. That's almost other people choosing their thoughts for you. You're just going to be a puppet for somebody else's movie. And that's not like really life that I want to live personally. I think there's a balance, right? Because, if you're chasing something, it's a classic saying, the other thing's running away. So really what you want to start to do is remember that the more consciousness that you have, excuse me, the more that you walk through life with more conscious control of your attention and where it goes, you can start to live with more choice. More choice in the matter. If you want more choice in the matter, if you want more free will in the matter, if you want to take more control in your life, truly of the things that you can control, and stop manipulating the things that you cannot control, what you want to do is live life with more intent, more consciousness, more awareness, try to take a step back and realize that you don't own anything. You don't own your thoughts, you don't own your emotions, you don't own any items in your house. Even if you fully paid off your house, and you own the house, you definitely do not own your house, because one day it will be taken away from you, and life will very much show you that you cannot hold and grasp onto anything. So if you cannot hold and grasp onto anything, why let your thoughts grasp onto you? It makes no sense. It's completely illogical. So if we want to talk about logic and practicality, right? Well, just remember that, if you want to create something in your life, attaching to thoughts that have nothing to do with that goal being created in your life, that is a conscious choice. And the only way that you're going to be able to detach from those thoughts is to realize that the more consciousness that you have, the more choice that you have to disconnect from those thoughts, the more space that you have to see that those thoughts are not in alignment with who it is that you want to be in your life, you're going to be able to have more free will to go in the direction that you prefer to have to go in your life, the direction that you want to go in your life. And you don't need to be believing in any sorts of thoughts that are out of alignment. So if you want to feel like you have more free will in your life, I invite and encourage you to live as presently as possible. Be as present to the moment as you possibly can. Get more connected to the present moment as you possibly can. Whatever that means to you, whatever that looks like, just be serious about that concept. Because if you want more space in your life to take more action towards the things that you actually care about, you're going to need to have more consciousness and be more present to the moment. You're going to need to be more connected to the formless of part of who you are, to then have more free will and control and shift into which form you want, right? Not be attached to the form, but create more of what you prefer with a little bit more of a play rather than being so attached and it being so serious all the time. So the third thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to set your soul free and regain your consciousness, I know how that might sound, but it's really true. If you want it to be practical, remember that really the truth in terms of how to actually do this is to remember that maintaining your state is a very powerful thing. So maintain your state. Maintain your state. What does that mean? That means that if you want to set your soul free and regain your consciousness, walk through life and maintain your state at a high state as much as possible. Be in a high state of consciousness as much as humanly possible. Now remember, this is not about controlling other people. Because why control other people if you can control your own state? Isn't that what peace really is? Is remembering that you can control your own state. It's about your state. It's not about controlling people and them doing whatever it is that you want to do. It's you controlling your state, being happy with who you are, and then realizing that life is just about maintaining that, just maintaining a high state of high consciousness. That's all it is. There's definitely things that you can do to maintain a high state. I really believe that so many things in life is not even about what we're doing. It's not the action that we're taking. It's almost the place that we're coming from that's going to change the result in such a powerful way that a lot of people, I think, neglect. They neglect it because what they don't even realize is that life is really just about you maintaining a high state, in the sense that why would you do anything if you're in a low state? And if you can control your state, and that's something you can control, wouldn't you want to take control over that? Because there's so many things in life that you cannot control. Even your state is not one of them. You can't control your state always. Sometimes you're going to feel depressed, sometimes you're going to feel sad, sometimes you're going to feel anxious. But to the best of your ability, I think that life is about taking those negative emotions and transmuting them towards the vision that you want and maintaining a high state of alignment towards that vision as much as possible. And so when that negativity happens, when the resistance happens, don't resist it, don't fight it, be with it fully. If you feel problems, accept them, don't resist them, but then try your best to come back to your center and realign to that higher state that's bringing you an alignment to who you want to be. Whatever that means to you. It's not about controlling people. This is what's going to help you to set your soul free, because when you maintain your state, what that really means is that you value your peace above anything else. I think that the biggest problem that people have in their life is that they forget what they value. People can value money, they can value relationships, they can value getting things in the external world, and these are all amazing things. But one thing that I don't want people to forget is that you should value your state of consciousness more than anything in your life. More than anything. If you value your consciousness more than anything in your life, it's going to, in my opinion, I'm not saying even for sure that you're going to get all these things, or that maybe you're even going to want these things anymore if you value your consciousness. You might go through a transformation where none of these things even matter to you. But for me personally, I believe that if you care about these things, keeping your state of consciousness as your top value is only going to support those things, to only help you to make more money, to be a better friend to your friends, to be a better person in all ways. To be a better person in all ways, if that's what you really want, if you want to be better in every single relationship in your life, every possible relationship, if you want to be better in being of value to the world, being a person that's of service, of selflessness, of being the person that gives and helps the world, You want to value your state of consciousness above else. If you want to give the most value to people, if you want to help people in the best way possible and be the best human being you can be for humanity, well, just remember, value your state of, value your state of consciousness. If you care about money and all these things, whatever you want to create, valuing your state of consciousness, I believe, is only going to support these things. It's only going to help these things to help you creating what you want. That's all it really is, right? We don't need to be, attached to achieving things or getting the result or, or it looking some type of way. You don't really need to be attached to these things. None of these things really matter in the bigger picture. Now, of course, you're going to be like, well, they kind of do matter because, like, what about achieving specific results or getting a particular thing or something happening exactly how I want it? And it's not about the state. I just want this thing. I understand that fully. I do understand that. But I do believe that if you want to find the most efficient path to creating what you want and doing those simple actions that are going to help you to fix any problem or get what you want, maintaining your state is only going to be supportive to that. Because remember, if you want to perform at the highest efficiency at any task, maintaining your state is going to be of utmost importance. If you're at an anxious, negative, fearful state, that's going to be tough to be able to create what it is that you want. Now, I'm not saying that you should use fear and anxiousness and anxiety as a reason to not take action, but that's what I'm trying to say is that sometimes snapping yourself out of that state means taking action, learning to not believe the anxiety. So when you feel fearful, when you feel anxious, one way to maintain your state is to train yourself to take immediate action against that and then keeping yourself in a high state. Taking action sometimes towards the goal, even if you're not fearful, can almost remove fear in an instant. It's almost shocking. You might be stuck in a negative thought loop for a very long time, maybe months and years, hours, whatever, and you can remove that in just an instant by simply taking action and proving it wrong. But the key that I believe is to do this on such a consistent basis that those fear points stop, infiltrating your consciousness. You stop believing in fear. You become almost a fearless human being. And if you want to be a fearless human being, if that exists, I'm not even saying that can be possible, but if you want to be as fearless as possible, what you want to do is stop believing in the negativity, do whatever you need to do in your life to maintain your state, and that's okay. Remember, it goes back to the first point of you only have to do things that bring you peace, but it's about maintaining that on a consistent basis as much as possible. Maintaining your state and keeping yourself in a high state as much as possible, I think, is a very powerful value to have. It's not a value that I think you should have. I'm not going to stand here and say that you should value this. If I said that in this video, well, I can't really tell you that. I can't say you should value this, but I would invite you and encourage you to consider maybe it should be a value that you want in your life. You shouldn't necessarily do it if you don't feel comfortable with it. You shouldn't actually, but I would invite and encourage you just to think, what's more important to you than you not allowing the external world to define who you are? Because I'm telling you that if at some point you walk through your life and you forget that and you believe that something else was more important, I think that, that's where all the deep teachings and old traditions say that that's what leads to suffering. The attachment to your desires lead to suffering. Attachment to even a particular state can lead to suffering. So I'm not even saying to attach to a state. Don't even attach to that. That's attachment too. But I'm just saying that to the best of your ability, attach to nothing and reground to that essence of who you are that knows how to transmute and be that person that you actually want to be. Remember to reground in that. Reground in who you really are. Reground in the fact that you get to choose who you are. You get to choose where your attention goes. And remember, don't give away your highest currency, which is your attention, to things that you don't actually care about in your life. If something is not helping you to feel more at peace, stop giving your attention. It's just that simple. Stop giving your attention to things that are not helping you to feel more peace in your life. And it's like, wasn't that really selfish? Well, that is kind of selfish, but I think that there's a certain level and degree of selfishness that is required to be selfless and truly have value to add to the world anyway. Because remember, if you're walking through life angry, bitter, resentful, and miserable, is that helping the world? Is that benefiting the world? When you walk through life and you see somebody super negative, super miserable, super angry with themselves, is that helpful to the world? Yes, Francis. Well, it shows me what not to do. Well, there you go. That's an amazing thing to, focus on and see that in that way. I'm really, really happy that, excuse me, that you see it in that way. But the truth is that not many people are going to see it like that. If you see it in that way, then I'm really proud of you, but not everybody's going to see it like that. And a lot of people are not going to walk through life and look at that situation as a learning lesson of what not to do. They might even start to become even more miserable with that person. And now there's two miserable people feeding each other's egos, and that's amazing. That's exactly what the ego wants, right? That's exactly what the negativity wants, is more negativity to feed on it. But what I'm inviting and encouraging you to do is to learn how to take control of your attention so that you don't need to be attached to any of these negative emotions or negative situations. They're definitely not negative people that are trying to steal your attention, quite literally so. In the most literal sense, things are always trying to grab and steal your attention. And the sad part of it all is that many people give it away. And I want you to remember this. Don't ever forget this. Try your best not to. That is a choice to do so. Allowing your attention to go to something that you don't like is a choice, isn't it so? Isn't it so that to focus on something that you don't like is a choice? Now, it might not seem like it sometimes when life can get chaotic, when things can get negative, when you do all these things that you believe that you have to do and there's no other choice. It's like, really? There's no choice? Like, are you sure? Now, I get it. Sometimes there's literally no choice. Life can bring up circumstances and challenges where things can just get tough. Things are just actually difficult and you're dealing with an uncomfortable, negative life situation. That's completely fine. But, a lot of the times people will blow this out of proportion and really think that they have to do something that they really don't. If you take a step back, it's like, wait a second. It's like, I don't have to deal with this situation at all. There's no reason to get mad. There's no reason to get worried. There's no reason to get reactive. Take control of your attention back and then realize that it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Sometimes it's like you're about to get angry and you're about to let your ego run wild, and it's like, wait a second, actually, you know what? This is just not worth it, and you can just walk away, and then you control your attention and you control where you want to go. And it's just that simple, right? People let themselves play out these stories that are uncomfortable and negative as long as they need to then realize that they don't have to do it anymore, and it's not necessary. It's not necessary. So it's like your ego will believe that not maintaining your state, I believe, is more important than maintaining your state for as long as it has to then remember that not maintaining your state is just better. And I'm not going to speak for you, actually. I'll take that back for a second. I'll speak for myself. For me, I realize over and over that maintaining my state is my top value. I don't want to value anything above money, anything. There's nothing in my life that should go above my state of consciousness. And I really believe this because I think that this is the way to help the world. I don't think that helping the world is going to come from a lower state. I don't think that you're going to be able to, again, help anybody if you're miserable and worried and upset and bitter and angry towards the world. You're going to be walking through life and it's like, how are you going to be able to help anybody if you're bitter and resentful towards life itself? That's just not going to work. If you want to be of service, go remember that you can maintain your state, be a person that is connected to the peace in your heart, and then from there, I believe that that's how we really help people. That's how we offer value. I think that honestly, true value is you coming into a state of peace and then to the best of your ability, sharing that peace with people and reminding them that they can either join you in whatever you're doing specifically, in whatever job or work or whatever kind of relationship you have or whatever you're doing, or maybe in their own way, they can step into a state of peace and then be aligned with their intention in that way, and then be aligned to who they really are in that way. And it's like they can do their own thing, but the maintaining of the state as a top value can be the common denominator, even in two different completely lines of work. Two different lines of work, even two different sets and settings completely, two different kind of situations. But if you value your state, usually what happens is that these things go a lot smoother. They go a lot better. Do you want your work to go a lot smoother in your life? Maintain your state of consciousness, and I'm gonna tell you that you're probably gonna notice your work becomes a lot easier. Do you want your relationships to go smoother? Maintain your state as the highest value in your life. You're going to be able to offer so much value. You're going to be able to be a better listener. You're going to be able to perform much better in all these relationships in every single aspect, whatever that means to you, if you maintain your state. If you start believing that you have to give away your attention and sacrifice your values and your morals to be the person that you want to be, that's going to be a huge problem. That's going to be a huge issue. I don't believe anybody in life should be able to should have to sacrifice their morals and values for somebody else. That's not really a life worth living. And it's like, if you believe you have to do that, maybe there's periods to do that, to learn certain lessons, but it's like, that's not going to be sustainable in the long run. That's always going to fall apart and lead to some kind of, falling apart of that structured relationship or situation or whatever it is. So I believe that if we come from a space of aligning with our true values and remembering this, that's going to be what's necessary to really build powerful relationships where now you're offering true value to the world. You're actually being helpful. Because not from a miserable space of attachment and this and that, all that falls away when you realize that maintaining your state is a powerful thing to value. So I'll conclude this video with a question. And my question is, what do you value in your life? Do you care about money more than maintaining your state? That's okay. Maybe there's a timing period of that. But I might encourage you to just test this. Test walking through life and just care more about how you feel than anything else. More about your values than anything else. I'm not saying to go be an egotistical maniac where you're making unwise choices and not taking care of your finances and not showing up respectfully in your relationships and being a person of value in society. Like, I'm not saying that this as a permission slip to go be a disrespectful human being. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that in the bigger picture, like, are you living for yourself? Are you living for your own values, or are you living just for somebody else because you believe you have to? And so I believe that if you apply these concepts, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to set your soul free and regain your consciousness, whatever that means to you, but you're going to be able to live life with more free will, more power to be the person that you actually want to be.